watching Leicester Till I Die TV.
Watch us on YouTube.
Listen on your favourite podcast platform.
Or ask your smart speaker
To play the podcast Leicester Till I Die.
Right, Chris.
Hello, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, good day if you're from Australia. Hi Luke, hope you're watching. If you're not, you're probably catching up with us. How are we all? You are, of course, here for the prediction show with Steve Lynex. Well, unfortunately, sorry to say, you are stuck with this ugly mug because it is just myself and a special guest who's filling in for Steve because, unfortunately, due to the fixture rearrangements, I was playing on a Friday. Steve's not available. He's working hard, or hardly working, as he tells me. But we have got Doug from the Dugout channel, YouTube channel, so he will be joining us in a second. But not to fret. This doesn't mean because Steve's not here, this show isn't, of course, sponsored by Steve Lynex and Foxy 7 Clothing.
The prediction show from Leicester Till I Die TV is brought to you by ex-Fox Steve Lynex and foxy7clothing.co.uk.
Back of the net.
Yes, you can find us there, and that is the sponsor of the show. But here he is, the man, the myth, the legend. Doug, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm good, mate. Thank you very much for asking me to stick in for Steve. But yeah, it's great to be here, and hope you're doing well.
Yeah, it's all good to have you on, mate. It's a pleasure having you on this show. You're a regular on the channel. So when you popped up saying I can fill in for Steve, it was great to know. How have you been? I mean, obviously you're living the highlight of the Premier League. So how are things going for you, being a Liverpool fan?
Yeah, no, I mean it's been a good start to the season. I mean, 10 points from 12 games. It's not as good as your guys, obviously, but no, I think at this stage of the season, I think we had I think it was either 6 or 9 points at this stage, so we're 1 point better off than we were last time. So I'm happy with the start of the season. Brad's gone. But yeah, I'm very, very happy with the way that we started the season, especially. Brad has gone for a minute. I'm sure Brad will be back. Good evening, Nate, as well. Hope you're well. Yeah, he is. He's coming back.
I'm back in the room. I don't know what happened there. My phone just decided it didn't want to do it, so it took me out of StreamYard altogether. Where were we, Doug? You and Liverpool having a good start. 10 points out of a possible 12. Things about Premier League and Leicester is they can't help but stay away from each other, can they? Because we are obviously, of course, in the midst of what is a busy fixture list for the Championship. Playing midweek, which we will be covering on this show. We got each other in the cup. Are you looking forward to probably potentially smacking our boys around like you've done before, or do you think it'll be a tough game?
Well, I mean, I might even see that game because I do have a bit of a important potential rival becoming basically on the 26th, and obviously I think we're playing on the 27th as well. So yeah, that might be a game where I might have to miss, to say the very least. But no, look, there's been some classic games between Liverpool and Leicester in the Carabao Cup, and especially the last game between the sides was 3-3. And yeah, the last time we played you guys, we went on to win the cup. So I'm hoping that's a bit of a good omen for this one. But no, look, we had a good game in pre-season, so I fully expect another fascinating tie in next Wednesday.
Yeah, it's going to be a hell of a battle. Hopefully this time we can come out on top. I kind of feel like we owe a certain Diego Jota for the way he was with our fans, although we were just as bad towards him. So there we are. Now, for those of you that are new to the Prediction League, or the Prediction Show, should I say, we do run a Prediction League, which we have, obviously, the season's underway, so there can be no more added to it. Now, normally what I would do is I'd bring up the table, show everybody how they've done. There's two things here. Championship has midweek. We're not just going to be covering game week 6 this week. We're going to be covering game week 7, which will be the midweek games that follow the weekend's results. So to kind of say we'll put on a bit of time, you guys in the chat, you know that I will always post it onto Facebook. I've just got to upload it to get it on there. So we're not going to run through game week 5 because A, it was 2 weeks ago, and B, as Doug already knows, there wasn't many points on offer. I scored more than Doug, and I only had 3 points. That's all I'm saying. That's how bad it is. I will be honest with you, not much change in the way of the table. I think maybe 1 or 2 people swap places, but in terms of where it counts, Doug, by the skin of your teeth, Doug, you had the worst week you had, and you are still top by a point because everybody else seemed to fumble and play catch up with you. You've allowed a lot to catch up to you, though, so don't get too comfy at the top. And yeah, I am still everybody. I am still holding everybody up at the bottom. I'm very strong. I'm doing a lot of weights these days, holding everybody up at the bottom. A fall from grace when I could predict the Premier League. So, without further ado, because apparently I'm all about technical faults today, we are going to get straight into it. I know normally I go through what other guys predicted, but it's a long list, and we don't want to keep you here for 4 hours going through each one. So we're going to go through game week 6, and in game week 7 you're kind of just guessing, aren't you, Doug? So we're just kind of reeling off through the next game weeks. So we'll miss out the important one because it is a Thursday. We're not pressed for time to get the result, and it's a particular 9-0 special. Oh, sorry, did I say that out loud? Sorry, Southampton fans, if you're there. So we'll leave that one to the end, and we'll get straight into the usual 3 o'clock kickoffs on the Saturday. We're starting off with Hull versus Coventry City. Hull obviously ended not just our unbeaten run, but our winning run as well. We'd won 4 out of 4 in the league. We were 6-6 in all competitions, and then along came Hull City, and then they're taking on former Fox Mark Robbins' Coventry, who obviously still doing well despite the playoff heartache they suffered last season. Doug, where do you see this one?
It's a tough. I mean, I was actually looking at these fixtures when I was making my my predictions, and honestly, there's some really tough games to predict, to say the very, very least. This is one of them because we all know that obviously Hull went to Leicester, and obviously took your unbeaten record from you as well. But I think Coventry have been playing well as well. They were involved in a very classic 3-3 draw, I think, against Watford, which was absolutely mental game. So that's a tough one. It's a tough one to call. But I think if Steve was here, then I think he would probably say that it's tight, not a lot of goals. I fancy a 1-1 draw. I'm going to go with 1-1 for this one.
It's taken one game, Doug, and you're already sitting Steve on the fence with Christopher. He's sat on that fence so many times. I'm gonna, if I ever build a fence, I'm gonna name it the Chris Special. If you can sit on it, because that's what most people seem to do. It is a hard division to call, though, isn't it? I mean, they're both on form. It's a very tough game, a league to predict, let alone try and pick a winner in it and get points. I don't know how you do it, Doug. Honestly, I don't. But there is one saving grace. You didn't go for a Coventry win, because I'm pretty sure had you told me that Coventry were going to win, Steve would want me to play this for you.
Bell end.
There you go. I don't need an excuse to play that button. It's my favourite one. Chris knows that. He's told me to stop using it before I wear it out. But there we go. So you've gone for a 1-1 draw for Steve. I'm not sure if you went for that yourself. I'm well organised. I won't spoil anything. I'm well organised. But moving on to another Midlands club taking on a team in a bit of turmoil at the moment. Would you say it is of course Birmingham at home to Middlesbrough. Birmingham, Blackburn. I've written that down wrong. Blackburn versus Middlesbrough. See, it's not live. I'll edit it out. It's fine. Blackburn versus Middlesbrough. Both teams expected to be in and around that top 6 area. One thereabouts, sort of in it thereabouts. One got Michael Carrick as the manager, and you may remember me ranting about former players getting jobs and maybe they should start lower down. Is Middlesbrough starting to sink in a way that Carrick might find himself having to look a little bit lower down the leagues for his managerial career? Because it's not been the greatest of starts for Middlesbrough, has it?
I've been very surprised with Middlesbrough, and it just goes to show that you can never predict the Championship, because I think a lot of people, me myself included, actually had Middlesbrough to finish runners-up. It just goes to show that I think Middlesbrough have lost a lot of firepower, if we're being honest. Like, they've lost Cameron Archer, they've lost Chuba Agpom, so there's always going to be a bit of a difficult thing to sort of replace that sort of that goal threat as well. Similar with Blackburn as well. Like, they've been all right. They've had a bit of a mediocre start as well. So, I mean, do you go for the team that you probably expect to win, especially with obviously the international break being over, or do you go for the side who's been very, very mediocre, but just seems to be getting those wee results in there as well? Another tough one to call. I've got to say, another tough one to call, but I think home advantage will be key here. So I'm gonna go 2-1 Blackburn.
You're going for 2-1 to Blackburn. I mean, I know it's only game week 6, but with how they've started, if you're a Borough fan, would you not be a little bit concerned or be asking for a change of manager if you lost this game? Because they're not doing that great.
I'm amazed that they're bottom of the league. I really am, but I think, like we said, I mean, I'm just looking at the table now. Like, Middlesbrough 24th, Sheffield Wednesday 23rd, and Swansea 22nd. Like, there's probably 3 teams down there you probably expect wouldn't be there to begin with. But having slow starts always gets you to have sort of catch up as well. I don't think Middlesbrough will be too hasty in getting rid of Carrick. I think they'll need to be understanding that they have lost a bit of firepower. And they have started very, very sort of slowly. But I think they've got some sort of good games coming up. So I'd expect them to get some points very, very soon. But Blackburn are pretty good at home. So I would probably expect Blackburn to get a home win. But I don't think Middlesbrough should ever think of getting rid of Carrick's anytime any soon.
Well, yeah, I mean, it is a bit early, but certain clubs in this division, Watford, are very well known for getting rid of a manager for sneezing at the wrong time, let alone the results business. We just talked about teams that are in the bottom 3 and not expecting to be there. And I'm probably going to be a little bit harsh here, and sorry to Anthony if you're in there, but maybe one team you may be expecting to see down there again. I know they had a few years where they were up at the top, but it's next game is Bristol City versus West Bromwich Albion. Again, 2 very indifferent. Neither of these sides seem to have found a bit of rhythm and form. And just when they have, it feels like we get suckered in the prediction league because we go, oh, well, they've won a couple of games or drawn one and won one, so they're going to win this one and they lose 1-0 or something like that. So Bristol City at home, does that maybe give them an advantage, or is this one where we see an away win?
Yeah, I mean, both teams are really similar in sort of the form. I'm obviously just like looking at this. Obviously, West Brom have won 2, lost 2, and drawn 1, and then you go Bristol City, won 2, lost 1, and drawn 2. So they're quite similar in that sort of that in that aspect. But I think Bristol City have obviously lost Alex Scott. I think Alex Scott was a very, very good player for them. They have sort of recruited the sort of younger players, which I think is a good way to go forward. West Brom again, they've got lots of off the pitch problems. So hello, Anthony. But I think, I don't see many goals because West Brom have kind of been a bit stubborn in defence recently, whereas I think Bristol City have been kind of the same as well. So there's not many goals. So I'm going to give Bristol City the win here. I'm going to give them. I'm going to go the same as Anthony. They're 1-0 Bristol City.
Well, you've just made Anthony a very happy man because his beloved Bristol City, as he declared in the last video, that we did yesterday in the preview, he declared his undying love towards Bristol City. So move over Arsenal. Bristol City are clearly Anthony's number one team. Keeping on the talk of basement battles, two clubs coming up here, Huddersfield versus Rotherham. That they were a lot of people's early contenders to be really struggling. I know, Sheffield Wednesday and Ipswich came up, and Plymouth, maybe Plymouth were down there, but a lot of people were saying no, Sheffield Wednesday will do really well. And maybe this is before they sacked their manager, and obviously Ipswich have had a really good start. And a lot of people just went rip Rotherham and Huddersfield off, despite what Neil Warnock managed to do at Huddersfield last season. There you go. He's confessed his undying love to you. There you go. Don't make me get the love hearts. I'm working on my phone, Anthony. I don't want to get too emotional on this channel. He's a taken man and a child on the way. Leave him alone. But we've got Huddersfield at home to Rotherham. Rotherham probably caused one of the bigger upsets so far this season. They beat Norwich. They held out to win that 2-1. But I said this when we played Rotherham. They were 2-0 up against Blackburn, and if they didn't shoot themselves in the foot and go down to 10 men, they'd have had a couple more points on the board than what they've got. Is this a case of Q last on ITV4, or are we going to see goals galore? See what I did there? Took the brain a second and see what I did.
They've kind of got the same amount of form. I'm just looking at it here. 3 defeats, a 1-win and a draw in their last 5. Rotherham are actually above Huddersfield on goal difference. So, obviously, I think the 4 that Huddersfield conceded against Norwich has obviously done a bit of a factor. But yeah, Rotherham beating Norwich was a big surprise for me. But then again, you can kind of say the same. Huddersfield going to West Brom and winning, that was a bit of a shock as well. I mean, you could literally toss a coin with this one. You could literally toss a coin because you would probably expect both of them to be sort of down there by the season sort of ends. This is really tricky, but I think Huddersfield are probably better away from home than they are at home. But then again, I think Rotherham are better at home than they are away. So I actually don't see many goals in this game, and I'm going to actually go for the away team. I'm going to go 1-0 Rotherham.
He's going for a Rotherham away win. He's given Rotherham an away victory by 1-0. Anthony thinks it'll be a cracker, but he's crackers himself, so it doesn't surprise me. He's gone 3-2 Rotherham. They do pull results out the bag when you don't expect it. That probably helps they play in red for Anthony to say that about them as well, doesn't it? But yeah, that's the prediction you've gone for. So Steve will be happy, because if you're trying to channel out your dog predicting machine brain that you've got, he might do very well this week. And then we get on to the Battle of the Cities, you called it, when I was making sure I jotted them all down. Norwich City versus Stoke City. This has become a very mainstay championship fixture, hasn't it? I know Norwich went yo-yoing for a bit, went on vacation to Premiership for 12 months, but for the majority of Stoke's time since they've been back in the Championship, this has been a fixture that's been played quite a lot. Norwich had to slip up. We'll be looking to bounce back. Stoke have been fairly decent throughout their season. I think Anthony might pick Stoke because they're half red. But where are you going? Norwich or Stoke?
Yeah, I mean, apart from obviously the Rotherham defeat, Norwich have actually won 3 of the last 5. Stoke have actually won 2 and lost 3 of their last 5 as well. But I think Norwich are slowly sort of starting to get into their stride a little bit. Stoke City are consistent. Let's just say that they're very, very consistent when you have to say that. But I can only see a Norwich win. I think Norwich have got way too much for Stoke City, and I'm actually going to say that I don't see Stoke scoring, and I actually think this could be a bit of a romp for the Canaries. I'm going to go 4-0 Norwich.
Doug is not holding fire for Steve on his prediction. Steve wouldn't go so dizzy and high. He'd have to have real hatred burning inside him to go for such a score. But Norwich, Stoke, it sounds like you don't have any hope for Stoke. I told you, look, half and half. It means he has to hold out for the draw. So he's got, of course, Anthony's in here going 1-1. We've talked about a few of the new boys at the moment, and maybe teams that we're fighting down the bottom. Somebody who is having a terrific start, actually, thanks to us not being able to find an equaliser in our game. Preston North End, who usually have a good start, are now up in, I believe they are top of the championship, and they are taking on somebody who's been surprised in the division at the start, Plymouth Argyle.
Yeah,
this is going to be a heck of a game. Do you think? Do you think this is going to see Preston stay top of the pile, or do you see Plymouth causing another upset? Steve,
yeah, Plymouth are. Yeah, exactly. Plymouth are actually doing really, really well. I thought when I did my sort of prediction, I thought I've been a little bit sort of not really nasty to sort of Plymouth, but like I thought they would have probably had like a good start to their sort of season, and I felt as well that by the end of it, I think they would just like have enough points to survive. But no, I mean 7 points from their first 5 is a very, very good start. As all has Scott, hope you're well. Preston, what can you say? Preston have been fabulous, absolutely fabulous, and I think loads of people are probably now saying, well, could this be potentially? I know we're only 5 games in this season, but this could potentially be one of those seasons where we might see somebody new come into the Premier League. Obviously, we had Luton Town come into the Premier League this season. With Preston North End, as far as I'm aware, have never been in the Premier League. I know they've been in the top flight, but they've never been in the Premier League. So that would be very, very good to see. It isn't obviously first game after the international break. You never know. You never know
how many jokes are you going to tell? I'm counting, Scott. Don't worry. Yeah.
I'm going to go for a narrow Preston win here because I think Plymouth have been pretty good defensively, but again, I think Preston at home, you'd have to back them. So I'm going to 1-0 Preston.
He's going for a 1-0 Preston. Steve will be elated. He's going to take 40 points home at this rate. He's thinking to himself, listening to you. But yeah, I mean, it's a fair enough shout. Unfortunately, you won't get any extra points for Steve by being nice to Plymouth. That won't get you don't get no points for saying it's not going to be so bad for them. But it's hard to look past them, isn't it? When you're top, or even in the top 3 or 4 and you're on good form, it's especially at home. No matter how well the side you're up against is doing, especially when it's a newly promoted side, you do struggle to kind of look past the home win, don't you? I mean, even Anthony, because neither of them playing red. He has no allegiance to anyone here. He's gone 2-1. Terry's in, and he says Preston's mascot Deepdale Duck has retired. Try saying Deepdale Duck after a few beers. Well, I didn't know that. Maybe he's flown south for the winter. I don't know. I failed geography. You probably tell me that Preston is nearer south than I know. So moving on, we've got the easiest name to say, which is QPR. because they like to keep their initials just because it's so much easier than saying their full name. QPR at home to Sunderland. Sunderland, I don't think they caused the shock of the week, but they certainly did in terms of goals scored. I mean, Sunderland have been in and around the Championship for a while. I know they've had a few years away when they dropped down, and it's taken them a while to get back up. But I mean, how big was that result for them? They go and stuff Southampton 5-0, and they're playing a QPR team, which I would say is probably the hardest team to predict how they're going to do. Because one week they go and beat, I think it was Cardiff away from home, or something like that, and then they're going to lose to it. They lose at home when you're expecting them to win. Very difficult to predict. So Arsenal are going to ride that momentum from before, where they won 5-0 against Southampton, or are QPR going to cause a shock? Where are you going for Steve here?
I mean, I've got to say, Sunderland beating Southampton 5-0, I never saw that coming. We'll get on to Southampton. I mean, I'll be honest, I think a lot has obviously been said about, defensively, Southampton in that game, but, Sunderland, fair play to them. It will go winning 5-0, which was very, very good. I might have some on my sleeve. Don't worry. QPR are another funny team. I mean, they seem to do well away from home, but at home they're just. I don't know what it is, but so far it feels like they seem to win at like places like they won at Middlesbrough, which was a big surprise. I mean, a stunning goal to win the game. Anyway, I can't remember the guy's name. Someone, I think it's Frizzle or Tozzle or someone like that. But basically top corner. And no goalkeeper is saving that. I've got to be honest. Looking at this game, I think the confidence that Sunderland got from that 5-0 win, I think will probably spur them on now to go and win. I'm actually going to go for Sunderland to win in the capital. I'm going to go 2-1 Sunderland.
So he's predicting 2-1 Sunderland. I might be ill next week, Doug. You can fill in for me and get me some points on the board if these all come in for Steve, because I'm not having this. This is Steve's tactic. Don't turn up and get the professionals to do it for him. I see how he's going. So from one end of the scale to the other, I think you mentioned that these are actually in the bottom three. Sheffield Wednesday, two newly promoted sides coming together. It's Sheffield Wednesday at home to high-flying Ipswich, which may have surprised others. I think if you'd have asked other people beforehand who they thought was going to fare better in the early knock-ins between these two clubs, you would probably have had Sheffield Wednesday in there. But say it isn't. Ipswich were fighting it out up at the top until a couple of weeks ago, and they're still up there now because of how the results have been. But away to Sheffield Wednesday, who you feel really need to get a win under their belt soon. Do you see it coming? I mean, surely if it's going to come, it has to be at home just to get the crowd going for when they're away.
Yeah, Wednesday are not in the best of form at this moment in time. Really, really poor. I mean, you've got to say Ipswich have had a magnificent start to the season, but I think if we're being honest, again, it's a game after an international break. Sheffield Wednesday will have gone and thought, right, we need to. I mean, there's been more stuff this week. Apparently, the owners come out again and had a statement about Darren Moore. Again, it feels like it ended ugly with Darren Moore there as well. But this won't cause a major surprise. But Cisco Munoz, I'm not sure he's going to last the season. I know it's really, really hard to obviously say that, but he did well with Watford. But when he went to the Premier League, he wasn't great. I think he's gone and taken a job on, which is really, really tricky in Sheffield Wednesday. I mean, I think I had Sheffield Wednesday go down. I think I think they could be already doomed. To be honest, they need to win their home games. They certainly need to win their home games. But Ipswich are absolutely flying at this moment in time. So I can only really see the away side winning here, and I'm going to go 2-0 Ipswich.
Well, Doug is making sure that Steve feels that there's more pain to be inflicted on Sheffield Wednesday. You've gone for a 2-0 away win, and you know, I'm with you. I was a little bit surprised. I looked at them, and the whole Darren Moore thing is just weird. It's like, get over it sort of thing. You moved him on. Why are you still trying to make a thing about it? I don't understand it. And it clearly has really affected him, because I know hindsight's a wonderful thing, but you get the feeling that if he's there, they're due from that amazing comeback against Peterborough, and obviously then going on to win the playoffs. You know, they were down and out. They had everything going for them, and then they get rid of the man who got them there. It just feels like it's completely blowing their objective apart. You know, obviously they still want to survive, but it's just made it look a little bit easier. I think Scott's a little bit in a time delay here, because he's only just said Hull 2, Coventry 1. I do not know anything about this, but typical Leicester. It turns out Harold Shipman hasn't left the building.
Yeah, I have heard that Mr. Cannon is out, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, you might be able to shed some light on it when we get to the Leicester game then, Doug. Anthony has said, I can see Sheffield Wednesday win this one. They're due win. Well, just because you think you're not owed anything in football, but he's backing to beat it, and he has gone 2-1 to Ipswich Town. And Terry's just confirmed Owen Parker Atkins. Some people got to be fancy with a name. And Owen Palmer Atkins has reported on Tom. Pick a name and stick with it. You know what I mean? Don't have 3 names as your name. Speaking of which, moving on. We only have a few left for game week 6, but do remember, guys, we are doing the midweeks one, so game week 7 will be coming up. So if you're wondering where there's a certain shameless plug coming, don't worry, it's on its way. The Troy Deeney Derby, as you called it, is next on the list. Watford versus Birmingham. One team that beat us in this dramatic friendly a few years ago, and then nearly got relegated, are at home. They have more managers than I've had hot dinners in the last 6 months against a Birmingham side that I say there's a collective of teams in the Championship right now, and it's probably Birmingham and Stoke that are 2 that you mentioned in it. That with the greatest respect, they seem to be stinking out of the division. They don't go down. They never seem to really be in trouble, but they don't really seem to ever push for that playoffs things. I mean, the Boar and ITV4 0-0. I may have gone for that myself, but is it as dry and cut as that, or do you see this being a bit of a heated thing with the 2 sides?
I mean, look, I think the one thing you'll get with Watford is goals, is entertainment. I mean, they've already scored 4 against QPR. They've scored 3 against Coventry. It just seems to be the way that things are going right now for Watford. Birmingham had a fantastic start to the season as well. So, I guess that is another tough one to call. Like, there's some games this week where you're like, well, you could flip a coin. You could flip a coin for this as well. But I mean, Watford seem to be playing better away from home than they are at home. And then you've got Birmingham, who seem to be playing better at home than they are away. So I can see why people would say match the sort of last on sort of the Championship show that you have on sort of ITV4. But I actually think that Birmingham are going to surprise the result here. I'm actually going to go for a very narrow 1-0 win to Brum.
Well, you're not the only body. I'm not saying that Terry hasn't put a score prediction in himself, but he has said my banker for the weekend is a Birmingham win. I mean, I don't know, mate. Maybe the fortunes were changed. Allegedly, they've hired somebody who deflates balls. Allegedly, who's taken the reins of percentage of Birmingham, isn't it, Mr. Tom Brady? Allegedly, please don't sue Tom. It's all in jest. Moving on to well, you've heard of the Manchester Derby. And obviously, you are infamously involved, being a Liverpool fan, of the Merseyside Derby. Now we've got the Woolley Jumpers Derby, to keep it clean. We have the Welsh The Welsh, whaters, with sheep. Cardiff at home to Swansea City. Swansea, as you mentioned, are in the bottom three. Cardiff are very Cardiff-y, hit and miss. This one feels like it could have more men sent off than it could goals if it gets a bit fiery. I know you're trying to use your Steve head here, but it's such a difficult division to do it. Where are you sitting on this one, Doug? Are you sitting on the fence, or do you have an out-and-out winner for this one?
I mean, I think if you look at past sort of fixtures, like you probably look at back in sort of Swansea. Swansea are a surprise for me. I can't believe they're in the bottom three at this moment in time. I know, so they've obviously got a new manager, and obviously Michael Duff, which I think is a very, very good one. And then obviously you got Cardiff, who are sitting 19th at this moment in time, and Cardiff are a funny team, very, very funny. Like 1 week they'll do really, really well, and then there's 1 week where they'll be like, well, we basically go and lose at home to some team you wouldn't expect them to lose to. But if this was Steve, this is the interesting thing. If this was Steve, I think you'd probably have like a draw written all over it. So for me, I actually, funnily, I can't believe I'm saying it. I think there might be goals in this game. I think there might be goals. I'm going to go for a Desmond. I'm going to go 2-2.
There we go, ladies and gentlemen. It's took him till technically second to last game of the weekend's fixtures, because there's a certain Friday night 9 game that we're going to talk about last for game week 6. But he's got there in the end. He has gone for a Desmond. Ryan Clark, hi mate. He's a Barnsley fan. I know my logo. I know my badges well enough. He's gone 1-1, but 3-1 to City. Please narrow down the city of choice, because there's Swansea, there's Stoke, there's Cardiff, there's Norwich, there's Leicester. So yeah, but it's good to have you here, mate. I hope you're doing well. Anthony is sat on the fence for tonight, and Terry said, "Okay, night all, take care." He's done predicting things. He's obviously up for an early night, probably preparing himself for the joys of a Friday night game.
I mean, you've got to say as well that Cardiff Swansea games, they're either really, really good or they're either really, really, really boring. But obviously Swansea will have to drive carefully to Cardiff. So yeah,
that's very true. I'm fairly certain, if I remember mine rightly, I've gone with history. These are kind of like the Brighton and West Ham, and I probably should have changed my mind because Brighton have had that curse broken, haven't they? They hadn't ever lost to West Ham in the league, and then they played earlier this season and they got beat. I'm not smug about it. But Swansea haven't lost to Cardiff in a long time, so I'm probably shooting myself in the foot by saying I've gone for a Swansea win. Now, on to one team that I maybe slightly had a little bit of hatred for. I don't know. Maybe it was to do with them hiring Ted Lasso. Maybe the fact that it was just Leeds United and I don't like them. I don't know. But Leeds are away to Millwall. And I think this is one of them that last year, I think when it was like two teams we hated playing each other, Chris gave us the option to not predict it. Now, I'm that far behind in the league points. I've had to give a prediction for it. But I think you can sense that I may have gone for a bit of a snooze fest for this one. But you're a little bit less impartial. Millwall at home to Leeds. Where are you going and how many are Leeds losing by?
I know you don't like Leeds. But surely they will get much better now. But surely they will climb the table as soon as they can. Daniel Farke is a very good manager. I'm sure Leeds will get back up the table as well. Millwall. I mean, does anyone really like Millwall apart from Millwall fans? I mean,
I don't even think Millwall fans like Millwall at times, mate.
The only thing I like about Millwall's Gary Rowett. I think Gary Rowett is a really, really good manager, and you know, they were very, very unlucky to not get into the playoffs last season as well. But this game is one of hatred. It's one of literally both sets of fans don't like each other. Both teams don't like each other. So this is going to be very, very fiery. It's going to be very, very controversial because I could actually see a couple of red cards in this game. If I'm being honest, I could easily see a couple of red cards. I mean, you've potentially gone for a snooze fest. I never like to back. I don't know. I'll be honest. I don't like Millwall. I don't like their fans. I like, as I said, the only thing I like about them is obviously Gary Rowett. But I'm going to go for a home win. I'm going to go 2-0 Millwall.
2-1 to Millwall. You know what, Doug? You must have sensed what was coming because the way you were speaking at first, I got scrolled all the way down. I thought, I've got him there. I know what he's going to say. He's going to say something like Leeds are going to win 2-0. And I had it already. So I might as well use it now. I'm feeling like it, so I still have an excuse to use it. I was ready for you, Doug. I was ready for you to just be finally ready, but you're avoiding it like the plague. You won't let me use it, so I found a way around it. So that is all the weekend games, but there is a small thing. It's a small game that's going on beforehand. On a Friday night, it is happening. It is a repeat of a horror of 9-0, which is why Anthony's probably cowering behind the sofa because one of his beloved teams in red, suffered a humbling against this opposition. We are talking about, of course, about the massive M69 champions Leicester City. They are travelling to Southampton. Both teams looking to bounce back from I wouldn't say shock defeat for us because you've got to give respect to all. They've had a good start, but disappointing defeats. Looking to bounce back. Shall I just put you down for 9-0 Leicester now because you're pretending to be Steve, or should we be serious for a minute and actually talk about the game, Doug?
Yeah, I think we should.
Doug is Scottish. I'll figure out how to make a camera.
I am Scottish. Yeah.
Anthony, you're a bellend. I'm not playing it again, but you are a bellend. He's gone 4-1 leads because he hates me.
Let's just talk about obviously the game. I mean, Southampton losing 5-0 to Sunderland is a big shock. I've got to be honest.
Hold the phone, Anthony. You come on this show and you besmirch such things. Well, first of all, I want to show you this, Anthony. If it will load up. Yeah, I just wanted to show you brought this on yourself, Anthony, and just just for that, you're going to get a special. I think he's been vying for it since I mentioned it. So, Anthony, you go, Anthony. You've earned yourself onto the Bellend record books. There, do continue, Doug. Now we've got through that.
Yeah. Southampton. The problem with them, they score goals, but they concede goals. And Russell Martin, for as much credit that he sort of gets with, winning games, etc., there was one thing that Swansea that he was criticised for defensively. It looks like his team can't defend. Mason Holgate makes his debut against Sunderland. Looked really, really poor. I think you losing to Hull was a shock, although I do think that now you've had that first defeat, I think it will be something good for you guys to obviously, sort of bounce back. Obviously, it's two teams that have obviously lost their last game. Sunderland, Southampton losing 5-0 to Sunderland was very shocking indeed. I've got to be honest, obviously last season they did the double over you. I still don't know how. I mean, that 1-0 game, I remember that they absolutely dominated you, I think the second half especially. But you had your chances. I think it was Patson Daka. I think it was either Patson Daka or Kelechi Iheanacho who had very, very good chances to score. you obviously went ahead at the King Power against them as well, and then they came back from a goal behind and won 1-2-1 as well. It's a really tricky one to call. I mean, obviously it is on the telly as well. I think it's on Sky, isn't it? Is it on Sky?
Yes, it is indeed. Well, 9% saw it's on Sky.
Yeah. I think Southampton are better at home than they are away, I'll be honest. I think they've been a little bit fortunate on the road recently, and I think at home they do seem to do well at home. They do seem to do well at home. But then again, you guys did obviously suffer your first defeat as well. If we're being honest, I think if Steve was here, I think he would probably back a Leicester win. So, for the bearing of that, I'm going to go 2-1 Leicester.
Well, it is our favourite scoreline. We do like to win 2-1. And yeah, I'll be honest with you. If memory serves me right, I've actually put us down for a Desmond on here. But we had a Southampton fan on our preview show, which was done yesterday. If you thought tonight prediction show and you're thinking where's the preview show, because of Friday we've done it beforehand, so it was on Wednesday, so go check it out after this show. You're going to catch the preview show, and you'd be surprised that the Southampton fans score predictions I got off him at the end, because he did mention the leaky defence, and that ultimately made his decision in the score he predicted. So yeah, go and check out the preview show. This is why all the shows have been bumped up, because we're playing on a Friday night. So go and check that out after this one. So, Doug, as Bon Jovi once said, and I don't tire of using this joke, we are halfway there. And that means I've got to have one thing in common with one of these. Yes, it's a shameless plug. And I'm going to let you all know where you can find us on our podcast platforms.
Leicester Till I Die podcasts on the Apple iTunes, Spotify, Google, Anchor, and all podcast platforms.
Something is coming. Something big to this podcast.
Hello, Chris.
Chris, but you do usually hear Chris's wonderful voice coming through. And of course, we have to say a massive thanks, because this channel is in conjunction, I will learn to say that word eventually, with TalkSport Fan Network.
The TalkSport Fan Network is the ultimate on-demand destination for the UK's best fan-led football podcasts,
including Leicester Till I Die, independent analysis and reaction for the Foxes faithful.
The TalkSport Fan Network.
Unbeatable club-dedicated content created by the fans, for the fans.
Follow the podcast on the TalkSport Fan Network.
Course, there you go. You can follow us there, and we appreciate your support wherever you follow us or choose to either watch or listen to us. And of course, make sure you are going over to our sister channel, LTID TV2, which is not just a football quiz channel in the making. It is also now converting into a quiz channel that will be bringing WSL content. Most notably, obviously, we are a Leicester channel, so I will be focusing on the women's game. So if the women's sport is something you are interested in and you're a big fan of the WSL, I have things in the background working away to try and get some very special guests and people with great knowledge of the women's game onto the channel. So make sure you head over there and check us out there. And I believe Chris is getting that onto the podcast platforms as well, so you can listen to it back as well. Now we're finished being a shameless plug. Doug, we are at the halfway point. We've done all of game week 6, so now the only thing we can actually do is move on to the midweeks. Now these are a bit harder to do, because we're all trying to predict in hindsight. So there's not really much to talk about, because we don't really know the results. We've already talked about these teams and the form there. I'm just popping comments up there. Anthony has gone 2-1 Southampton, I think, is a general prediction. So there's not really much to talk about, so we're just going to crack through them. Bristol City will be at home to Plymouth. Trying to think on the results you predicted, assuming they go that way. Where would you put this game down as? Which side's winning this?
I'll go narrow. No, actually, I'm going to say on the fence. Going to go 1-1.
You're going to go 1-1. I hate these games, because you always go off. I find myself looking at these games, the midweek ones, and I don't hate midweek games as a fan. But I know people will with work and commitments. I totally understand that. What I mean is when you do the prediction show or you're involved in the league in general, you go in, well, I back them to win really big. So if they win really big and the team they're against is going to lose, and I predicted them to lose, and then all of a sudden the two teams play before they play each other are both had reverse results. And what you think, God, it's a nightmare, isn't it? Because you just don't know. It is the unknown what you're walking into here. And this is one here. You've got Coventry who have back-to-back away games. They are travelling all the way down to the lovely Welsh lands, and Cardiff at home to Coventry again. This could all depend on how they're going into it form wise, but where do you see this going, mate?
I think, if we're being honest, I think you look at both sides, and I think Cov are probably much better than Cardiff, if we're being honest. So, I think I might get a bell into here, but I'm gonna go 2-0 Coventry.
Doug, I did wonder. I tell you, I'll ask you this question, Doug. They say what comes first, the chicken or the egg? Well, I never thought I'd be able to say this for you, Doug. But what comes first? Me giving you this, or you telling a dad joke? And it turns out you get this first.
Bell end.
I mean, I'm not going to press it again, but you're free to repeat the score that you've just predicted. What scoreline did you just go for there?
2-0 Coventry.
Bell end. I didn't even need the button for that one. I just said it. You're bell end. You're just a bell end, mate. Anyway, moving on. You've got Preston table toppers at this moment in time. So again, we're just going off that basis. They're taking on the inflatables. Allegedly. Sorry, they're taking on Birmingham City. I said the name wrong. I meant the NFLs, not the inflate. Oh dear. Allegedly, Preston table topping. Used to having a good start. They're living up to their name and more. This one, they'll be at home to Birmingham. Home win, or you're throwing a spanner into the works here?
Yeah, it's. I think if obviously Preston get like a win against Plymouth, obviously they'll still be top. Again, I don't see many goals in this one, and this might be a bit of a surprise. But I'm actually going to go for a 0-0 draw.
Oh, let me have a look, ladies and gentlemen. Let me take these glasses off and let me put on my inspection glasses. Does it say bear? But don't tell Doug. Yeah, I believe, Doug, that is the first time you have gone for a ball draw. We have a ball on ITV4. It'll be last of the day, as Chris would say, but we're not on match today, so we can't make that rhyme. And I'm a poet, and I didn't even know it. You've gone 0-0 between Preston and Birmingham, which would be typical, wouldn't it? Top of the league, you're playing Birmingham, and we're up and down, and no goals seen elsewhere. And that's the one thing I suppose it's one of them for away fans. It's so difficult to kind of go to, because if you get battered midweek, it's late at night. You potentially have a long journey home. You're kind of a little bit reprieved if it's a local game in a way. I know obviously you'll lose bragging rights, but could you imagine going all the way to some of these areas that these clubs are travelling to and taking a tank in? Yeah, so I'm not surprised you're sitting on the fence a little bit. This one. Speaking of one that will have a lot of distance between it, not just in the league but in geographical senses, QPR are at home to Swansea City. This is a bizarre one in terms of where these teams are sitting. Are we seeing another draw, or have you got an outright winner to be predicting for this one? He says.
I'm going to go for a bit of a goal fest in this one. I think QPR will beat Swansea. I'm going to go for a 3-2 win to QPR.
Oh, he's going goals, goals, goals. Anthony will love to hear that. He's always one to love predicting high-scoring games. So, yeah, after a ball draw between Preston and Birmingham, you've gone for a 3-2 QPR win. And then we move on to two teams that if your predictions... Well, I know technically this half is for Steve, but if your predictions that you've been given are anything to go by, Southampton will be glad, well, maybe not so glad to be at home again, because they will be on the back of 2 defeats in a row if your predictions play out. They will be, and then they'll be at home to Ipswich Town. Are you planning? Are you predicting 3 3 defeats in a row for Southampton, or an Ipswich win, or are Southampton going to maybe redeem themselves for the last 2 games, assuming they lose to Leicester, obviously?
Yeah, absolutely. This is another tough one to call. This one. Ipswich have done really, really well. To start the season, they have done as well. But Southampton do score goals. They do score goals at home. So, going to give Southampton a narrow win here by 2-1.
He's saying the Saints will pick themselves up and march back up the table by picking up a much-needed 3 points at home to Ipswich. Now we come to a fixture, Doug, that if you told me by this point of the season we'd be calling these two a battle of the basement side, I'd probably raise a few eyebrows, mainly because of the away side in this one. But it is Sheffield Wednesday at home to Middlesbrough. We're not at a stage where we say it's a 6-pointer already, but if both these teams were to lose their game at the weekend, you would assume that somebody's going to be right under pressure to pick up all 3 points here. So with that being said, are you typically saying that if that's the case, they'll play out a safe draw, or are you nailing a commitment to a team that you think is going to bag all 3 points?
As I said, I fully expect Middlesbrough to pick up some points very, very soon as well. But under the lights at Hillsborough, I can't believe I'm going to go for this, but I actually think Sheffield Wednesday could win this game. I'm going to go 2-0 Sheffield Wednesday.
Wow, he's gone 2-0 Sheffield Wednesday. And I will say this now. I do think that despite your plea of patience at Middlesbrough, I think if Middlesbrough lose the next 2 games, I think that could be panic buttons pressed at Middlesbrough if that was the case. I'm not saying it was the last time we played at Hillsborough under the lights, but there was a certain occasion where we played at Hillsborough at the lights. We went and beat Middlesbrough, so they don't have fond memories of going to Hillsborough when there's a lot at stake. I've just reminded them of a certain Coca-Cola League Cup replay defeat that they had there. But history is history. They might not fall for the same trap. So, moving on up, because you can't get much lower than Sheffield Wednesday at the moment in terms of league positions. Sorry, Sheffield Wednesday fans. But we have Blackburn Rovers versus Sunderland. You've got the ever-staying Blackburn, one of a few former Premier League champions finding themselves in the Championship against Sunderland. I'm sure if Dan was back here watching these channels, being a Burnley fan, he would be going probably 7, 8, 9-0 to Sunderland, but no allegiances are held too tightly here. Tough game, Blackburn versus Sunderland. Go on, to surprise us all. Where are you going with this one? Because these are ridiculously difficult to predict.
I think I'll cancel each other out. I'm going to go 1-1.
Oh, he's got goals, but not by many. He's going for a swift 1-1. It's there's a few more draws I feel sneaking in this prediction than there was in your weekend's predictions. Because actually you're already level with the amount of draws you get through the weekend's fixtures. You went for 2 draws for Steve in the weekend's fixtures, and you've gone for 2 already in this one. Will you make it 3 out of 3 for Steve? Well, you have got the old China pot, the old wise owl that is Neil Warnock's Huddersfield Town, former Premier League boys coming up against, you could rename the Championship after this team. They've been here that long. It is stale Stoke City, as I like to call them. Huddersfield at home. Does that give them the advantage at all in this fixture? Or because this just feels like a game where you hear the 2 teams' names and you just think, this ain't going to be goals. Do you get that feeling with this one? Or have you got goals at either end? Have you got a hat full of goals for this one?
I mean, this is... you call them stale Stoke City. I call them inconsistent FC.
Both aren't pleasant to hear from either sets of fans. I'm sure they won't like our comments towards the name.
No, absolutely not. Again, it's so tricky to call, especially with we obviously don't know the results, obviously of the other games, but. If there is a midweek sort of show, again, there's a potential game to sort of be on last, and it could be this one. It could easily be this one. However, I think Huddersfield need to start winning games. So I think under the lights at the John Smith Stadium, I think it's still called that. I'm going to give Neil Warnock. I'm going to give Neil Warnock's side the narrow win. I'm going to go 1-0 Huddersfield.
The Silver Fox is getting the win against inconsistent FC as it is. And now it all makes sense to me, Doug. I've been racking my brain thinking we've been going for an hour. Where's Doug and his classic dad jokes? Well, how can Doug give any dad jokes without the father of this channel being here? It is, of course, Chris in the chat. He says, "Hello, boys." I don't know if that's his Mrs. Doubtfire impression he's doing there.
Hello, dear. This is Mrs. Doubtfire, dear.
It's Mrs. Doubtfire, dearie. And, of course, he has to beat you to the punch, doesn't he? What did the ocean say to the beach? Nothing. It just waved. See, we lost viewers, Chris. Get out, leave. We lost the viewers. Just dipped there. They read your joke, and I thought I'd had a chance to put this button away, Chris. Don't stay there, Chris. Don't go hiding. Don't worry, you're not in trouble. I just, he is in trouble. I knew he. Right, so moving on from one childish manoeuvre to the other, we'll talk about a little bit of a derby. This, I believe. Again, I failed geography, so correct me if I'm wrong. Hull City against Leeds. Now, obviously, in my strong hatred for Ted Lasso FC. I know they're not managed by him anymore, but it might as well be. I'd probably put down Hull to win this 15-0. But let's get a sensible brain in the room while Steve's not here either. Hull City versus Leeds. Where are you going for that? Steve watches back.
It's another tough one to call. I mean, the Tigers against the Roses. That's very, very interesting. Now, I'll give you one, Chris. A truckload of terrapins have crashed into a truckload of tortoises. It was a turtle disaster.
I'm not finding the bottom for it. You're just a bellend, Doug. You're just a bellend. You're just a I don't know. In fact, what's worse to get as an insult? Being called a bellend directly, or just being told you're a Brendan. I feel like if you call you Brendan, that's worse. So Brendan, pack it in. So you went Hull City versus Leeds. Doug, just tell me your score predictions now. I'm not angry, Doug. I'm just very disappointed. Hull City Leeds. Where are you going, mate?
Oh dear. I think a certain button might be coming out again because I'm actually going to go for a Leeds United away win. I'm going to go 2-1 Leeds United.
Yeah, I'd seen your comment, Chris. I'm just getting around to popping it up, mate. He's gone a blue ship crashed into a red ship and the sailors were marooned. Yeah, thanks for that, Chris. It gets worse and worse. Yeah, I was getting around to popping it up, mate. You're going for a 2-0 Leeds United win, did you say?
2-1.
2-1, sorry. Yeah, so we're moving on to a team that you really despise. Anthony comes in to wreck my day even more. You've already got your sticker award, Anthony. You don't need to keep getting more Brownie Bell End points for yourself. You are a full-on Brendan, mate. Everybody's worst enemy, including our own. Millwall against Rotherham. Now, we've already talked about Rotherham. They've had a few shock results, some decent wins. Nobody likes Millwall. So, are we saying that that Rotherham win this?
Unfortunately, I think it's a home win here. I'm going to go 2-0 Millwall.
He's going to go 2-0 to Millwall. Oh, I can't really blame him. I wish I could, but I can't, Doug. In the spirit of competition, I shan't. So second to last, because we saved the best till last. There's a certain fixture to follow this one. We've got manager roundabout FC versus the Baggies, the former Yo-Yo Club, you could say, with Norwich in recent history, but the Yo-Yo Club versus managerless FC, because it'll only be a matter of time before they sack the manager. Watford are at home against West Brom. Where do you sit on this one?
Yeah. Again, it's a sort of a battle of sort of the ex Premier League sides, isn't it? I mean, it's a really, really tricky one to call, especially with I think if Watford potentially lose this, then you could probably see Billy and Ishmael potentially be on a bit of a sugary peg with the way that those owners like to do things over there. West Brom again, they're another interesting side, to say the very, very least. But I'll give this on the fence here. Yeah, I'm going to sit on the proverbial fence. I'm actually going to go for a Desmond. I'm going to go 2-2.
He's going for another Desmond. He's locked one in for the midweeks as well as at the weekend's fixtures. He's gone for a Desmond, and you've already surpassed your total with 3 draws over the midweeks than it is over the weekend's ones. And you know what, Anthony, it's very immature. You shouldn't copy people's homework, Anthony. He's gone 2-2 in the chat. That's just copying homework. Now, I said I'll talk about this. I thought it'd be better to talk about it now because we don't really have to. I'm just going to get a score prediction off you because it's Steve Lynex esque here. So I've got a funny feeling you're not going to be predicting the home win here. And then we'll quickly talk about Tom Cannon. You've obviously heard a little bit more about it than I've been able to. We are at the last, by no means least, and obviously save the best for last, as I always say. Norwich at home to the massive M69 derby champions Leicester City, and I will keep saying that until we probably eventually lose commentary in the reverse picture. I'll get your opinions on it afterwards, but quickly, just for Steve's peace of mind, because he'll be raging if you don't. Where are you going for this one? What do you see Norwich Leicester playing out as?
Yeah, I think Leicester should go to Carroll Road and win this one. I'm going to go. I went 2-1 the last time when they played Southampton. So I'm going to go. I'm going to give them a goal more. I'm going to go 3-1 Leicester.
He's going for Norwich City 1, Leicester City 3, which will make a certain Reese happy if Sargent's still playing there because he does not like that player, does it? Was it Norwich?
No,
was it Sargent and Norwich he didn't like, Reese?
Yes, that's right.
Like that. Yeah, so Reese will be happy to know that you give Norwich a proverbial beating because he's not very kind to Norwich, is he? He isn't very kind about Norwich at times.
I think the Yo-Yo Club, I think, is what he likes to call them. So.
Yeah, well, that's probably the politest way of saying it. Anthony, trying to gain some brownie points. You've already got your honorary Brendan badge in the post, mate. You can't come out now saying Leicester are going to win after you said we're going to lose to Southampton. It doesn't work like that, I'm afraid, Anthony. But Doug, it was brought to our attention earlier in the show by Terry. Tom Cannon injured. Typical, isn't it? Just when we think we got rid of Harold Shipman in the injury room, one potential injury return in Connor Cody, and another one gets put on the sick note. What have you actually heard much about the injury? Is it something that should get Leicester fans putting their head in their hands, or is it just sounds like it's an immediate training ground thing that he won't obviously won't be playing tomorrow?
Again, it sounds like a bit of a training ground thing. Apparently Enzo came out and said, I think he had a press conference today, I think it said, and he says he's not sure how long Tom Cannon's going to be out for. So there's sort of another sort of chance to sort of give him his sort of debut, sort of bye.
Yes.
So yeah, hopefully he's not out for too long. But I believe that Connor Cody might be back in the squad tomorrow, which will be good to see.
Which will have Chris crying, because that maybe means Vestergaard, his beloved Vestergaard, misses out. So
quite possibly. But no, I think you've got a very, very good squad there now. I think you needed to sell the players that didn't want to be there. Obviously, obviously Maddison didn't want to be there. Harvey Barnes, you managed to get like a lot of quid for them. I think it was about 75 million quid for both of them. So very, very good to get that get those as well. And then other players have obviously left as well. But I think the players you brought in, I think, are very, very good. I like the signing of sort of Doyle at left back. I think he's a really, really good player. Obviously Winks as well. I think he's a very, very good player. Mavadidi, I think I should have said it. He looks very, very pacey as well. So I think you've had one of the best sort of transfer windows in sort of terms of like people outgoing. You've actually sold a lot of assets there, and you've had a lot of like money coming into the club as well. But
yeah,
I think it's a tough game tomorrow against Southampton. I really do. I think with them having sort of home advantage, it will sort of give them sort of the boost. But I think defensively, you can actually get at Southampton. I don't think they're quite the Southampton that I don't think they're quite as good as defensively as many people think, and especially having a manager like Russell Martin, who was criticised of defending at Swansea. So it'll be a very interesting game. I'm looking forward to that game tomorrow evening.
Yeah, so fun enough, so am I. I'm hoping history can maybe repeat itself. Although I always say at this point in the season, especially winning 1-0 and winning 5, 6, 7-0 is it brings the same outcome in terms of the points, doesn't it? Win's a win at this point. We'll worry about goal difference a bit later on if some of these games pass us by where we're not scoring too many. But Doug, it's been a long show in terms of how many fixtures we've had to get through. I think we've done really well to get through as many as we have in the time we've got through them. You're obviously well known on this channel before, but just in case there are some people that are new to the channel, because this channel is obviously ever growing, do let people know where it is they can find you, mate, and all your other socials.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. No, it's been a pleasure to come back on here. It's always good to get back on this channel, especially obviously the boss there, Chris, as well. I know you're in the chat, mate, and you two have been very, very good friends to me, actually. Especially like obviously going through the YouTube sort of cycle as well. You two always seem message me, and we message each other every single day as well. So obviously I know you guys are obviously in the Championship, but no, it's always good to come on here. But my YouTube channel is the Dugout Football channel as well. You can also find me on Twitter or X at Enward_1992, Instagram at Douglas Starhorn, and also Facebook at Douglas James Horn.
Oh, there you go, guys. His link to all his social medias is in the description down below, as is the link obviously to our sister channel LTID TV2. So do go and show your love and support to Doug in all his social medias, and obviously his YouTube page. Definitely go and subscribe to his channel because it's wonderful content. It's not just all Liverpool stuff as well, Doug. When you get the opportunity, I know you do other things involved in football, talking on things. So yeah, go and check it out. It's a great channel, and those that you don't know, Doug is a wonderful person. So definitely just go and show him all the love and care. So Doug, yeah, you filled in for Steve this week. You're currently top of the tree in the predictions league table. Anthony did ask how the league table was doing. Steve Smart just chimed in there at the end saying, "Evening, Brad, bit late to the party." I mean, it's a bit late, and you're a bit late, Steve. The staff are waiting to put the tables and chairs away. That's there's late, and then there's then there's helping the clean up late. But we appreciate you being here all the same, Steve. Thank you very much for popping on as we are wrapping the show up. Now, yes, I am still bottom, Anthony. Thanks for reminding me. I didn't want to say it, but I'm getting some muscles over here. I mean, says that wearing the world's baggiest football shirt you can get. But that has been the prediction show. We have gone through game weeks 6 and 7, predicting probably the hardest set of fixtures to predict, not just for the fact that it's midweek games, but looking at the fixtures and who they're playing. Doug, thank you very much for being our gracious guest, filling in for Steve. And if it's ever needed again, I'll be sure to make sure I ask you first. Do not worry, your name is on top of this. To those of you that have joined in throughout the show, thank you very much for getting involved with your comments. And even if you just sat there watching because you love watching our beautiful faces, thank you very much. And until next time, which, all things being considered, we will still be doing a watch-along. It won't be Chris, but it'll be this joyful face that's doing a watch-along for Southampton versus Leicester. And I've got a couple of people that will join me pre-match. Hopefully Chris, who is going to the game, will be able to join us pre-match via his phone. And maybe at half time and full time, but that's totally if Chris is able to get signal or not. But we will still be doing a watch along, so make sure you join us for that. About half an hour or so before kick-off is when we will go live for that. And until next time, thank you very much for being here. And as always, come on, you foxes.
Thanks for watching. These videos are tremendous. You'd better like them too, or I'll be back.
This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network. TalkSport. Powered by fans.
That will conclude this evening's entertainment.